Welcome, and thank you for joining us for the Family Support Center of South Sound's Bubble Party and Auction. The word bubbles brings to mind a lot of things. Fond memories from childhood, fun and exciting times toasted with a champagne cocktail. But lately we have come to identify this term with the COVID bubble, which, though not fun, has allowed us to stay safe and still spend time with those near and dear to our hearts. We hope that many of you are enjoying this evening's event with your bubble of friends and family. If you're trying one of the champagne cocktails this evening that Family Support Center has been sharing in the last couple of weeks, let us know in the comments what you think. Family Support Center would like to thank the Confederated Tribes of the Chehalis Nation, Dallin Taylor Productions, the Aaron Thomas Home Team, Walsh Construction, Sensory Tool House, and Gotti's Sweets who are sponsoring this event, and to every single person who donated to our silent auction. There are some really great items in there. Speaking of the auction, if you haven't had a chance to check out the silent auction yet, please head on over after the program and check it out. You have until 9 o'clock tonight to place your final bids. Pro tip, check the Bid for Me box, set your maximum bid, and let the computer do the work for you. If you have not received a link for the auction yet, head over to the Family Support Center website at www.fscss.org or just take a look in the comments. You can also text G1911 to 63665 to get a donation link sent to your phone. Everyone who donates $100 or more will be entered into a raffle for 2 Seahawks tickets. We have Trish Gregory and Natalie Scovrin watching these chats, so feel free to say hi and ask them any questions. Thank you once again for joining us tonight. And without further ado, I am pleased to introduce Marie Lanise, the chairwoman of Family Support Center's Board of Directors. Marie is a passionate advocate for families, this agency, and her entire community.
Good evening. My name is Marie Lanise, and I'm the board chair of the Family Support Center. I welcome all of you tonight. Thank you so very much for joining us. Thank you so much for the participants who bravely were able to get in front of the camera and do all of this virtually for you this evening. I also want to thank my fellow board members whose tireless energy and passion for this community, children and families in this community, help make this all work together. COVID has been particularly rough for everyone, and especially families with children and victims of domestic violence. The staff and agency of the Family Support Center has tirelessly worked to help support these families and provide them with the care and the shelter and the security that they need. I can't say enough wonderful things about the staff of this agency and how they help to build and provide hope to families in our community. It has been an honor and a privilege for me as a member of this community, not only just a board member, but also a member of the community, to watch the tireless energy and effort of the staff of this agency on our community during such trying times as always, and they pull together and do whatever is needed to help families thrive. I'd like to introduce Trish Gregory, the executive director of the Family Support Center. Trish has been with the agency for almost 20 years. A quarter of that time, she has been acting in the capacity of executive director. When I try and think of how to describe Trish, it's pretty easy actually. It takes a great leader to do great things, and Trish Gregory is that great leader. And through her support and her leadership, the agency has grown under her executive directorship from approximately 11,000 square foot facility, cramming in so much help and support for our community into our new campus of about 36,000 square feet, which has provided partnership agencies to be here and be a one-stop shop, providing support for families in our community, which is so desperately needed. And also, early next year, we're very proud to say that we will be breaking ground on phase 1 of affordable housing for families in our community, which are so greatly needed, especially now. And so with that, I'd like to introduce Trish, and thank you so much. Thank you once again for being here tonight. We all greatly appreciate your support.
Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for tonight's program. Whether you're joining us the night of our actual auction, which is November 5th, or if you're watching this video later, we really appreciate your willingness to participate and to support the work of our organization. I'd like to start this evening with a land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the land and water where the Family Support Center campus now sits is the traditional territory of the Stechos people, one of the 7 bands that make up the Squaxin Island tribe. The surrounding mountains, valleys, shorelines, and waterways are imbued with their presence. We seek to nurture our relationship with our Coast Salish neighbors and our shared responsibility to this place, their homeland where we mutually abide. We also recognize the Medicine Creek Treaty Tribes and the Nisqually and Chehalis people of this region. As you will hear tonight, we have an amazing group of people that helped to bring this auction together. I'd like to thank our board of directors for their continuous commitment to the work that we do, as well as our staff and our wonderful community that is so compassionate and helps us to make all of these things happen for families and children in our community. I'd like to specifically thank our staff and our families that got behind the camera. I know for myself, that's not my favorite thing to do. And so we just really appreciate your willingness to do that in support of the families that we serve. Tonight, I'm absolutely delighted to share the video with you that highlights the work of our organization, not only our programs and services, but really gives a clear insight into the values and beliefs that build our organization and why we do the work that we do. Lastly, I'd like to give a big thank you to Dallin Taylor Productions for putting this video together, which we will all get to enjoy tonight. Thank you.
Family Support Center of South Sound was founded in 1992 by a group of child advocates in our community who wanted to create a one-stop shop for families with kids so that they didn't have to go all over town to have their needs met, with the ultimate goal of let's bring everyone in one location that a family might need. So often people are calling and asking for one thing, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. And that's just the challenge or the problem that they're facing today. But when we really look at, okay, what else, what's going well? And then what else do you need support with or want more information on?
Whether it's providing very basic necessities like shelter beds to sleep in, or providing clothing, diapers, or it be seeking legal assistance to ensure that your family is safe in a domestic violence situation. We believe that all families, regardless of socioeconomic status, regardless of their housing status, need support and access to caring and compassionate people to assist them in navigating the resources in our community.
How do we support you and how do we break down the barriers or the challenges or the problems that they may see and figure out what's a solution and what do they want the solution to be?
Family Support Center truly is a safety net for families in our community. Over the years, our programs and services have evolved to meet the needs of families. We, as an organization, believe that it's our responsibility to look to our community to see what the needs are and then to fill those gaps with programs and services that really support healthy and hopeful families. In 2019, we purchased a new facility on the west side of Olympia. This gave us the opportunity to continue to grow our programs and services, as well as bring on new partners that provide direct services to the families that we serve as well.
The solution for us is not, we just need to create a new program and do that. No, we need to stop and figure out who in the community has that resource. And if we're recognizing that there's a gap, let's help figure it out. Can we partner? Can we collaborate? Any one of us has challenges any day of the week or any different thing. And I think that the families that we're serving and here for, as well as the survivors of domestic violence, have a number of challenges, from housing instability to where am I getting, the work clothes that I need to start my job tomorrow? How am I getting the support that I need to be a strong parent?
We have the most amazing staff that listen to our families, understand where they're coming from, and really work to identify what the family wants, what the family needs, and then brilliantly find those resources. So all of our programs and services are built upon the protective factors for families. We really work to ensure that families have the social connections that they need, and when they don't have a biological family of their own potentially that they can turn to our organization for that support.
It is a very hard time for our families that are experiencing homelessness, for survivors that are trying to flee. No matter what the need is, no matter how big or how small, whether you're someone in need right now, or you have a friend, or you have a client, or you have a colleague, just call us.
Dallin, thank you again so much for all of your effort and your work to put that video together for us. I know that there were a lot of bloopers, namely me, that went into that, and your patience was really appreciated. I'd also like to give a huge shout out to Anna Winter and thank her for being our MC this evening. You've done a fantastic job of moving our program along, and we really appreciate it. Over the past couple of years, we made a purposeful effort to reduce our fundraising activities, mostly to support our local businesses and not be asking for sponsorships or for support for our organization at a time that these businesses were also struggling as well. So we're really excited to be here tonight and to be able to share some of our successes over the past couple of years and our goals and what's happening for us here in the future. During COVID-19, our organization, like many others, were majorly affected. We did have to close our doors and all staff began working remotely. However, I'm very proud that 100% of our programs and services continued. Staff were able to consistently maintain getting families back into housing. They provided domestic violence advocacy services and assistance with safety planning and protection orders and access to support and hygiene supplies, diapers, wipes, and all of the things that people need for their families. Our parent education program really flourished, shifting to utilize technology in order to continue, and families gained access to additional one-on-one support as well, including family advocacy, access to supplies that were delivered by our parent educator to parents' homes when they weren't able to get out on their own. Additionally, our family shelter, which did have to reduce the number of beds in order to accommodate social distancing, was able to maintain 24/7 operations, as well as increase the number of families served by adding hotel vouchers in partnership with grants through Thurston County. In April of 2021, we were able to open a second family shelter as well, our campus shelter, which added an additional 10 shelter beds for families with children so that they would also have a warm, safe place to sleep. During the pandemic, one of the hotels that we were utilizing for sheltering unfortunately caught fire and burned to the ground. When that happened, our staff didn't miss a beat. They got up in the middle of the night, went to that hotel, worked with the City of Olympia to identify transportation and an alternate housing location for those families. They successfully moved them to a new location and sustained somewhere safe and warm for them to sleep, despite that incredible challenge. Our community also stepped up to the plate and really supported us in supporting those families with gift cards and clothing and supplies and contributions to make sure that they had what they needed. All the while, we continued with forward progress and really kept our eye on moving forward and making sure that we were increasing resources for families with kids. We continued to work on our housing development project, which we're getting really close to being able to break ground on. We've submitted for permitting for a 62-unit permanent housing opportunity for families with children who are homeless and or fleeing domestic violence. And we should be able to start breaking ground here in March or April. We also are working on developing a new early learning center in partnership with the Olympia Early Learning Center. That'll be on site at the Family Support Center campus and provide 96 slots of childcare, with 30% of those going to low-income families who have a Working Connections program. So that's a really exciting opportunity that will support families in our community as well. None of this work could be done without partnerships and collaboration. Our next speaker, I'm really pleased to introduce, Reverend Mary Greer is the leader of the Unitarian Universalist congregation and a longtime partner and supporter of our organization. Please help me in welcoming Reverend Mary Greer to speak a little about how we work together to support families in our community. Thank you.
I'm the Reverend Mary Greer, and I serve the Olympia Unitarian Universalist congregation. I first learned about the Family Support Center when I arrived in Olympia 2 years ago. It wasn't too long after I started my service here that I received an email from a case manager who was asking if my congregation might be able to help a client. Well, I was a social worker in my former career, and I know how hard it can be to find resources for clients who are in such need. And so I felt some empathy for the case manager, as well as compassion for this family that was in such dire straits. Of course, I said yes. And I was able to say yes through the incredible generosity of my congregation. After that, I pretty regularly received emails from case managers who were seeking help for clients who were fleeing domestic violence situations and needed a hotel stay, who needed help with utility bills, who needed a bus ticket, who needed personal items, all of those things that there aren't necessarily other resources to cover. And I was happy to be able to help our neighbors on behalf of my congregation. What I didn't expect was that I started to get thank you notes in the mail from the case managers. And they weren't just thank you notes. They were handwritten, hand-addressed notes with flowers and hearts and colors and crayon and just so much love and gratitude to me and my congregation. And I was so happy not only to receive them, but to be able to share them. It was so clear to me that the staff at the Family Support Center were so invested in helping their clients and grateful for all of the ways that community members could show up and support their work. So what's the impact of the Family Support Center in the community? I know that the Family Support Center has touched so many lives because of the stories that the case managers have shared with me. And I know the Family Support Center has amazing impacts on people's lives because of the congregants that I have referred there for help. There are folks in my congregation, just like there are folks in every community, who have been in need. And it's been an amazing resource for me and my congregation and my pastoral care team to know that there is an organization so committed to serving families. There is no doubt in my mind that these last months of COVID have been hard on everyone, and they've been especially hard on families. The decisions that families have had to make about living situations and school and safety, those are incredible decisions. And families who are dealing with such challenges as domestic violence and poverty and disability, those families are even more stressed. And I know that the Family Support Center has been an amazing resource for them. I understand that the theme for the Family Support Center fundraising event is bubbles. And bubbles has a lot of meaning right now, the bubbles we have in this time of COVID and the bubbles that might be out in the world. And so to the Family Support Center staff, I just want to send these bubbles to you. Please know that they hold our love and gratitude for all of the work that you do in our community.
Thank you, Reverend Mary, and the entire Olympia Unitarian Universalist congregation for your continued support. This is a great opportunity to thank our sponsors once again, the Confederated Tribes of the Chehalis Nation, Dallin Taylor Productions, the Aaron Thomas Home Team, Walsh Construction, Sensory Tool House, and Gotti Suites. Without the support of these businesses and businesses like them and your support, Family Support Center would not be able to do the amazing things they do each year. As you heard from Marie and Trish, not only did the entire staff at Family Support Center step up in a big way during the pandemic, but there are some big things in store over the next year too for Family Support Center. Speaking of Trish, we have Trish Gregory and Natalie Scovrin watching these chats, so feel free to say hi and tell them what a great job they're doing and ask them any questions. Now, you'll get to hear from Family Support Center staff themselves about some of the successes that they've had over the past 2 years and about the resilience and strength of families and survivors that they serve. They will also share some of the struggles that families with children and survivors of domestic violence are facing right now in our community and the difference that community support makes for them.
At our agency, we believe that housing is a basic right. Homeless families do not present the same way that a homeless single would. Homeless families are sleeping on couches, they're sleeping in their cars, they are in campers, and they're more hidden.
Last year in this program, we served 1,060 people, which include parents and children. And these are families that are experiencing homelessness. Currently with the pandemic, it's created challenges for employment, childcare, locating available and affordable housing.
There's a lot of struggles that survivors in our community face. The biggest one being lack of affordable housing and lack of emergency shelter when they do choose to leave a relationship. One thing that is really important to remember when it comes to survivors is the amount of courage and grit that it takes a survivor to leave an abusive relationship.
Being homeless is really expensive, contrary to what people may believe. It's not easy to just get a job and get out of homelessness, and obtaining housing is incredibly hard in our community.
In my current role, I manage the shelter operations for our Pear Blossom Place 36-bed shelter, our campus shelter, which is a 10-bed shelter, and then also our cold weather or hotel non-congregate shelter. When families are at shelter, they're able to work through the trauma of homelessness, find some sort of transitional stability, and then move on to a more stable housing situation that they're able to maintain. The case managers with Family Support Center are miracle workers and have been able to show that our families are not just limited to what they're seeing in black and white paper.
So one of the great things about Family Support Center is just how well our programs all interact with each other and work together to ultimately support families. We're able to offer some resources like rapid rehousing to our families, deposit and move-in assistance, and sometimes they may identify needing some support with parenting. And so that's an opportunity for us to connect them with our parent educator, to be involved in either one-on-one sessions with our parent educator or support groups. It's not uncommon for families to also have intersections with domestic violence. So when we're working with families who maybe have had experience with domestic violence recently, we make sure to connect them with our Family Justice Center program.
The Family Justice Center program is a co-located program here in Thurston County that serves survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking. In the last year, our agency has provided services to over 1,300 survivors of violence. The survivors that we work with are often the most vulnerable survivors in the community. One of the key pillars to the success of the Family Justice Center is our relationship and our partnership with different community organizations. Due to community support, we're able to provide items like personal hygiene, clothing, socks, underwear, toothbrushes, deodorant. When we are able to give a survivor those items, it allows them to be able to take a deep breath and focus on some of their other needs.
It's important to know that no one chooses to be homeless. Everyone has unique needs and different experiences, and it's up to our community to support them with whatever it is that they need to get back on their feet. So it doesn't matter if someone has a criminal background, if someone lost their job, everyone deserves to have a safe place to sleep at night.
Sometimes the funding for shelters can be limited in what we can get, and there are times that family need those extra things to just get to housing but just to function on a day-to-day basis. Throughout the COVID pandemic, Panorama and St. Mike's Church have continued to support our families in shelter by bringing us in-kind supplies on an almost weekly basis. They bring us supplies such as pots and pans for our kitchens, diapers. Over the summer, they brought in bubbles, chalk for the kids to do activities outside.
Community support is important because it unites us. It gives us an opportunity to connect with one another. It allows us to help support other people with achieving their goals, and it gives us a sense of security and safety. The support that we receive from the community, whether it's financial assistance, household supplies, allows us to support families with getting rehoused, that they have somewhere safe to live, that they have security for their families, and it allows us to make sure everyone has a place to sleep at night.
Wow, clearly Family Support Center has done an incredible job of leveraging support from the community to be able to make such a positive impact on families and survivors. Great job to the whole Family Support Center team and to everyone who has stepped up over the last year to support others in our community. If you are as impressed as I am with all that they've done, be sure to leave a comment in the chat below and let them know. In a moment, you'll get to hear from some of our clients firsthand how Family Support Center has supported them and helped them achieve their goals. But first, we'll hear from a family that has been one of Family Support Center's biggest fans and supports for almost 9 years now, the Ogles. You might recognize this name from the many fabulous things that they do each year. Make sure you let the Ogles know how awesome you think they are in the comments. We know they're watching.
Family Support Center, you are near and dear to our hearts and all of my family. Missing one though. All right, I want to just give a shout out to the Family Support Center and say thank you for allowing us to help others. You guys, I always describe the Family Support Center as the hub of it all. When someone's going through a hard time, a single mom, and they need some resources, they go to you. There's a big, huge family, they're going through a tough time, they go to you. A family is homeless and they just, at the moment, they need a tent. They need a tent because it's pouring down rain and they're waiting for housing. Someone's going through domestic violence. Where do they go? They go to the hub. They go to the Family Support Center, and that's you guys. And a while back, 9 years ago, my daughter had an idea creating a birthday closet, and she wanted to be at the Family Support Center because we looked you guys up, and we called and we asked, and you said, that's a great idea, let's do that. We went from like 10 presents now to hundreds of presents. Every birthday we throw a birthday party and we just give all the presents to you guys, and we're the idea, and you said yes, and the spark, and we're all the embers. My family, everybody's the embers that just float all over the place. Thank you for allowing us to get involved in that way. And then we want to do something for Thanksgiving. Can we feed some families for Thanksgiving? Sure, why don't you guys do that? Is it okay if I put it in a basket? Yeah, it's a great idea. So, gosh, it's been 8 years now. We started with 4 baskets feeding families for Thanksgiving. Last year was 177. What? Thank you. Thank you for allowing us to give to these families. These families are in need. There are people. Everybody goes through hard times, and they come to you, and you inspire us so much. We want to give the way you give, and you are allowing us to do so. Thank you for believing us and listening to us and our ideas and helping so many. You are... It's emotional. You give life to people. You give them joy, but more importantly, you give them hope. Thank you for being people's hope, because without that, it's an essential vitamin in our life, and you provide that. I love you, Family Support Center.
You have no idea when you're going to be in these shoes. It could happen to anyone. Having to ask friends to stay at their houses for a couple of nights at a time became too much during the winter. We needed more permanent housing, something more stable. As I became more pregnant, it was very apparent that we needed help, and so we came to Family Support. I couldn't navigate things clearly because I was just really stressed, and I just remember feeling like I had no choices. Hopeless.
I don't know. I didn't feel very hopeful before I came here. I felt like the cards were stacked against me, especially in this community, because of the way that society kind of portrays, especially homeless parents. Having these types of amenities can be literally life-changing. Having warm food on the table, somewhere to cook warm food, that fills your belly and fuels you and your children so that your children can succeed in school and so you can succeed in work. Having some place to wash your clothes and wash yourself gets you that interview. It gets you to the next job. Other than just the physical, monetary, etc. support that is needed as a parent, they've provided a source of community that I haven't been able to garner elsewhere because of my lack of familial support.
We try to move to, and it's hard because there's no 3-bedroom openings.
It's hard to move.
It's hard to move right now.
I feel really stable living here. Like everybody know, there's no judgment here. At PVP, Linda is here to help with any parenting needs that you have or questions, and she's more than willing to help anybody.
And this is the only place I've ever been that provide, like, people don't have nothing, they got it for you. Easter, Thanksgiving, it's all provided to the family. Some places don't do that. And thank God for the PVP.
Family Support Center has been the biggest blessing in my life, other than my daughter. I'm getting choked up, honestly, just talking about it. They have helped me more than I could ever imagine. They took me in, literally off the street, and they put me in a home, a stable home with my daughter and my mom. They gave us anything we needed, any kind of food, clothing, any kind of resource, any help. They're just so willing to just help. And then I got accepted in this HAT program with Housing Authority. Yeah. And then I'm meeting them on Friday. I already did my interview, and it's like I'm getting a place.
What is different about my life since I've been in a house is I'm no longer in survival mode. I'm actually I have the opportunity to live. Through having stable housing, it made it easier to focus on my financial part and being able to go and look for jobs, knowing that I had a place to go home to.
Kids in this shelter are our future, and the first step towards building a brighter future is making sure that these kids have a stable environment, they have housing, their parents have the help that they need provided to them.
There ain't other place that does this. I've never been to a place that does this ever in my life, and I'm 53. I was for this place, but I don't know where we'd be at. Anybody here? I love this place, I ain't gonna lie.
Without family support, I wouldn't have security, I wouldn't have the safety, the shelter, the warmth, the family, the community. I wouldn't have any of it. I would probably still be struggling.
Times are tough right now, there's no doubt about that. But as you can see, Family Support Center is here and they are willing to help in any way that they can. Another community member and local business owner, Aaron Thomas of the Aaron Thomas Home Team, would like to share with you why he and his team have chosen to support Family Support Center over the last few years. The very first event they supported was the 100 Women event in 2020, which was unfortunately canceled due to COVID-19, but they stuck with us and have continued contributing in many ways since then, like the holiday drive last season and of course this event. Thank you, Aaron and the entire team, for all you have done for Family Support Center and for families in our community.
So the reason you're here, the reason why we're all here, is because the Family Support Center really matters in our community. And our team has chosen to focus our energy deeply into this organization because we feel we can help make a difference, and we feel like it really matters. The community needs this organization. Being in real estate, we see every day how hard it is for people to find homes, and the affordability is not getting easier. In fact, the housing prices have went up over 30% in the last 2 years, which we gotta agree has a negative impact on people getting roofs over their heads. So we have a big problem on our hands, and people like you are vitally important to help fund the programs that help with the solutions to these issues. So we're going to support them, and we'd love for you to support them too, and we'd love for you to show your support by making a donation tonight. It's true that buying an auction item will definitely support them, but what they really need is a financial contribution. Your gift will help keep the family shelters open during the upcoming winter, and it will also make sure that a family can move out of their car and into a space of their own. It will ensure that a survivor fleeing their abusive partner will have someone fiercely advocating for their safety. It will make sure that some parents and children have the warmth, safety, and stability that they need to be happy and hopeful. So you can make that donation through the auction site, or you can text G1911 to 6365 to get a donation link sent to your phone. And remember, everyone who donates $100 or more will be entered into a raffle for 2 Seahawks tickets. I want to thank you for joining us this evening and supporting your local community. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you again for joining us as we rise up together to help end homelessness and domestic violence in our community. Thank you to those of you who are watching this later. We appreciate you checking out our program if you couldn't be here with us tonight. Remember, if you haven't had a chance to check out the silent auction yet, please head over after the program and take a look. You have until 9 o'clock tonight to place your final bids. Pro tip, check the Bid for Me box, set your maximum bid amount, and let the computer do the work for you. Again, if you haven't received a link for the auction yet, head on over to the Family Support Center website at www.fscss.org or look for the link in the comments. If you're not interested in the auction, but you'd like to donate anyway, head on over to the Family Support Center website at www.fscss.org or just look for the link in the comments. You can also text G1911 to 63665 to get a donation link sent to your phone. Everyone who donates $100 or more will be entered into a raffle for 2 Seahawks tickets. Everyone who's joining us tonight, you should have received a link to the Bubbles After Dark performance. That video is now live. So grab yourself another drink, sit back, dim the lights, and get ready to enjoy something fun and absolutely unique. That video is now live, so grab yourself another drink, turn the lights down, kick back, and get ready to enjoy something absolutely unique from Golly Gee the Bubble Whiz, soap bubble artist extraordinaire. Have a great weekend, everyone. We look forward to seeing you in person next year.